Are investors good for one thing? Is it money? Was YC right about that? Or were they right early on and not later?
I think it's a very smart overgeneralization for them to say. There are bad investors who get in your way, who slow things down, who fight back, who try to micromanage the business. Then there are solid ones, a lower number of solid ones who stay out of your way, who give you money, who are supportive if you ask. And then there's a small number who are like proactively trying to create value for the business, but also staying out of your way. All those things are to be expected. And I think YC is trying to orient these like early stage founders to just get back to work, to not try to spend months and months fundraising because that isn't growing your business. So I think it's an overgeneralization, but probably wise at that stage.
This is Limited Supply, the place for refreshingly real takes on what D2C is really like.
We're your hosts, Nick and Moiz. Let's start talking about money.
Hey Moiz, a couple weeks ago, I saw this company ProMix launched a protein-packed Rice Krispie treat. I don't know if you've heard of them, but the coolest part was after I purchased, I immediately got an email from Postscript Cash Back, and it gave me $15 of cash that I could redeem on my next purchase, which I used as soon as my first box of bars ran out. Have you seen this before?
Yeah, it's Postscript Cashback. It's a new product for them. It's amazing. Postscript is really known for SMS, but this cashback product actually increases email and SMS signups by 31%. It increases contribution margin by 5%. It's going to be huge for Postscript.
That's amazing. If you want to see a demo and see how the product works, visit postscript.io/limited. That's postscript.io/limited.
Alex, this is the first podcast I'm doing without Nick, so I'm excited. This is going to be the best one as a result.
We're going to show him up.
Appreciate you being here. You are one of the co-founders and the president of Postscript. Mm-hmm. And I want to start by telling everyone I invested in Postscript and with you guys. We were just talking before we started recording that we did that in March 2019, so it's been 5 years.
It's early days. It was right before you found us, you and your brother found us.
Yeah.
About a week before we graduated from Y Combinator. So a week before demo day.
Wow. Okay. I think actually the person who put who put you on our radar was Sean Purry.
Oh, wow.
Who was like, hey, you guys are in e-commerce. There's someone who's doing text messaging. And, you said that we won't go, you said you were doing about 1.5 million ARR back then.
Yeah.
How were you doing so much ARR coming out of YC?
Very strong product market fit very early.
When you guys launched, there were like 2.5 years or 3 years of like, what's going to be the ancillary product to email? Yes. And for a long time, people thought it'd be Facebook Messenger, and everyone had all these Facebook Messenger bots called like ManyChat. Mm-hmm. And like people were hoping that text message would also exist. I thought it'd be a lot cheaper than it is, let me tell you that.
Sure.
And you guys were really one of the pioneers of that text messaging for e-commerce. Okay, anyway, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about your background and how you started Postscript?
Sure. So before Postscript, I was working in e-commerce.
Yeah.
On the brand side of things, I was working at a company in LA called Stack Commerce.
Okay.
I met my co-founder, Adam Turner, there. I was like an up-and-comer on the partnerships and marketing side of things, right? I was spending my days in GA, looking at different traffic and conversion sources, optimizing. They were like a flash sale website. And I met Adam there, and Adam was like a up-and-comer on the data and product side of things. Okay. And we became friends. We actually were enemies for like the first year. Ooh. We avoided each other. I think we were both a little threatened or intimidated, which is just beautiful for your early 20s. Yeah. And but then we went to lunch one day and we realized we had so much in common and became fast friends. And a couple years later, I was leaving the business. I'd been there a long time. We'd grown it a whole bunch.
What year is this? Give everyone a sense of what year it is.
So I dropped out of school in 2012. I wanted to work on the internet. I went to work at Stack Commerce. I was there for 6 years. And we went from like 5 people, super early stage startup in a like small office on Venice Boardwalk, to about like 80 people. We grew the business a whole bunch. And it was a flash sale business, and it was an e-commerce business. And early days, pre the Shopify boom.
Sure.
It was on a homegrown website with a large in-house dev team.
Wow.
And And it was good. And I learned all about how to optimize traffic sources. Yeah. And I learned about partnerships and how to sell.
Yeah.
And it was a great early stage learning environment.
Okay. And so the three, you, Adam, and a third person start Postscript.
Yes.
Okay.
The third person is Adam's big brother, Colin, who I didn't know. They had started and failed some companies before, just like classic early stage entrepreneurship. They started a gaming company called Wiblets that had 100,000 users, never made a penny, shut down.
Yeah.
Just great stuff. And I'd started some little things that had failed or fizzled out, never gotten off the ground. And as I was leaving Stack Commerce, because I thought I wanted freedom. I thought I wanted to like consult and play around and all that stuff. So I was going to do that for a little while. And he said, hey, me and my brother are hacking on some ideas. You should like take a look at one. And so one of them was a Shopify app to let Shopify brands text their customers. This was 2018. And the inspiration was a friend of ours ran a lifestyle business on Shopify, and he was complaining he didn't have a way to text his customers. Very classic, like customer complaining about a need.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, that's interesting. And they'd started writing a little code, and I got involved and I started talking to customers, and we all stayed full-time at our other jobs.
Yeah.
But we launched a couple months later. The first customer actually that came and found us before we launched was a illegal or a bootleg Donald Trump thrift store, merch store.
Okay.
That just like came and found us on the internet. So this was
they were selling MAGA hats. Basically.
Yes.
Okay,
yes. Yeah. And we launched, and suddenly we had 2 paying customers, and then 4, and then 6, and then 8. And we applied to Y Combinator on a whim, still working off our full-time other jobs, because we thought that this was going to be a small passive side business because we didn't understand how big the Shopify market was at all.
Yeah.
And quickly we were just getting pull, and suddenly we were making $2,000, $4,000 a month, $8,000 a month. We applied to YC, and I kept going into our application every week and updating it with our new revenue numbers, so they saw that it was growing every week.
Wow, okay.
And we were like nobodies in LA and Phoenix.
Yeah.
We had no connections. We hadn't worked at glamorous places, but we got an interview. We prepared the hell out of it, and we went in and got a slot.
I'm always curious as to how like entrepreneurs delineate responsibility. Sometimes it just happens by like magic, where you're just like, I started doing this, I guess I own this.
Yeah.
How did you, like, there's 3 of you, the other 2 are related.
Yes.
You know, which sounds like a recipe for trouble, or could be a recipe for trouble. It hasn't been, which has been fantastic.
Yeah.
How do you guys delineate responsibilities when, like, before you, or like, you know, when you're at $8,000 in revenue?
So at that time, it's very much like all hands on deck for everything.
Yeah.
But the 2 of them are like self-taught hackers.
Okay.
So they were writing code.
Yeah.
I don't write code.
Yeah.
So that was a natural delineation where I was doing, I also sell, they haven't sold previously.
Gotcha.
So I was doing everything customer facing, and they were working on the front end and back end of the product respectively. Over time, that's changed a lot.
Yeah.
But we like knew pretty early on that we wanted Adam to be the CEO. It was his creation and his baby. And we fell into our roles very quickly too.
And how did you decide on pricing early on? Because, like, you know, emails are so cheap. You know, there's no cost to sending an email, or like virtually no cost to sending an email. Texts are not, which is insane because, like, you know, you text your friends and it doesn't cost you anything. But as a brand texting, you know, every campaign can cost hundreds or thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
How did you decide on pricing? Were you just like, this is our cost, let's mark it up X%?
Yep.
Okay. And how did you decide early on what that margin should be? Because, like, you know, there was nobody doing this. No. Like, I think you were like, you know, Klaviyo, this is pre-Klaviyo having text messages. Yes. I think like, you know, Attentive and Yapo having them as well.
Yes.
How did you decide on that pricing?
It was before those companies were public with it. We were in YC when Klaviyo announced they were going to do SMS.
Gotcha.
Took them a couple years to launch it. But we did exactly what you described. We were like, okay, here's our cost. We'd signed up for a self-service plan on Twilio, so we were getting just like off the rack rates, nothing special. And we just probably like doubled them.
Okay, so you guys graduate YC. You know, I invest, and I'm going to talk about my investment for a second. I think it was $375,000, but I'm not positive. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
That was one of the earlier larger checks that I'd written because I was like, this is like, there's clear demand for that, or this clearly should exist. It would have helped me grow my business so much, and it's like, you know, without much effort, actually. Like, we're already creating emails. There's no way to, you know, our open rate is dropping as we continue to grow our email list and start sending more and more of those emails out. We wanted text messages. We'd experimented with Messenger and it never really worked. We had wanted this for a really long time. And I think that was one of the earlier checks that I'd written that was that size. And I think even I was trying to do 500,000 and you guys said 250 and we settled on 375.
That sounds right.
Right.
Also, to your guys' credit, you did it off a single call.
A single call. Wow. Okay.
We did a call,
Yeah.
and you came back like later that day,
And we're
right?
like,
You
let's
probably
do
did like
this.
a day of research or whatever, and you were like, let's do it. And I think that speed was like, just because at the time we wanted to get back to work, and we
Yeah.
were seeing a lot of investor demand from
Yeah.
our growth and from YC. I mean, we'd gone 0 to like 1.5 in like 6-8 months.
Yeah.
And so, we were feeling on top of the world at that moment. And I think that like the speed and decisiveness from our side of the table as entrepreneurs, we were like, first of all, these guys are founders.
Yeah.
Secondly, they seem to have a strong point of view on the space. And third, they like move quickly.
Yeah.
This is a good thing.
Okay, that's awesome. I appreciate that context. I had
Yeah.
no idea that that was important to you guys.
Totally, because we were talking to like funds
Yeah.
who wanted to put in more money, and they also wanted to run really long processes.
Yeah.
And we had YC telling us at the time, they're like, investors are good for one thing, money.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to optimize for this or that.
Yeah.
So like the fact that you guys were moving decisively was great for us.
Okay. And do you think that's still true? Are investors good for one thing? Is it money? Was YC right about that? Or were they right early on and not later?
I think it's a very smart overgeneralization for them to say.
Okay.
There are bad investors who get in your way, who slow things down, who fight back, who try to micromanage the business. Then there are solid ones, a lower number of solid ones who stay out of your way, who give you money, who are supportive if you ask. And then there's a small number who are like proactively trying to create value for the business, but
Yeah.
also staying out of your way. All those things are to be expected. And I think YC is trying to orient these like early stage founders to just get back to work, to not try to spend months
Yeah.
and months fundraising because that isn't growing your business. So I think it's an overgeneralization, but probably wise at that stage.
Have you had groups of investors from all three of those?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
One of the things I struggle with is I find that I have a lot, like in my past, I've had a lot of employees who are also from group number one, where they're just like resistant to launching a product, like resistant to change.
Sure.
Or they're like, there's always like, here's 40 reasons not to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it gets in my head where I'm like, wait, should we not do this? Because like, you're right, we can make a mistake. Nobody could like the scent, all this kind of stuff. Do you find that to be the case with employees that you have as well? Or like, how do you think about that?
So definitely the case. We try to manage it really aggressively. So first, Postscript's now almost 300 people. Every single person who comes in gets trained by me personally on our values.
Wow.
I've done this the entire time. One of our values is humility. That means being humble, but it also means at Postscript, embracing change. You have to actively embrace change on behalf of the team versus on behalf of yourselves. That's the bar that we hold. And the reason is because we think that I know it's an old startup trope, most decisions or investments or ideas aren't one-way doors.
Yeah.
Most are two-way doors. If you have strong conviction that something is better or deeply broken, try to fix it. Go
Yeah.
with your gut. You can probably undo or change it or evolve it again. You'll probably have to evolve it again,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And occasionally, yes, there's a one-way door, a decision you're going to make that you can't undo. And that, sure, let's move methodically, let's be analytical around. But otherwise, I think that like, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think it's quite common. And I think that especially as companies grow, most later stage team members are oriented that way to like resist change and embrace the norms. But the downsides of change, I think, are much smaller than we think.
How long do you spend with each of these employees training them on your values?
I do an hour with each new cohort.
Okay, so when you hire them, you're like, okay, let's get 2 months of new employees and do an hour training on them.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, let's get to modern day Postscript. You guys launch in YC. Klaviyo says that they're going to compete with you guys.
Scary day.
Yeah, I'm sure that's
Shout
a
out
scary day.
Klaviyo. Scary day.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a scary day. So Klaviyo says it. Attentive is doing it. I think, there's a few competitors at this point. How do you guys differentiate yourselves? Like, a lot of people, native still uses Postscript.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will talk to me about Postscript and be like, how is Postscript differentiated between Klaviyo? Why don't I have everything in one spot?
Sure.
How is Postscript differentiated between, Attentive?
Sure.
Tell us how you think that's the case.
So it's a big question, and there's been different sets of competitors over time.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of them previously have faded and disappeared, but now really it's the three big ones.
Who's faded?
I don't want to.
Okay, sure.
I don't want to name them.
Yeah,
but
no problem.
there are a whole bunch of smaller SMS players that came up around the same time as us that have now faded.
Okay.
And really, there's like three at scale of Postscript, Attentive, and Klaviyo.
Okay.
And I think that we're different in a handful of ways, but the high level is that on Postscript, you're going to make more money more efficiently. You're going to make more revenue at lower cost.
Yeah, that's great.
And
I know high level is great, but this isn't high level stuff. Sure. Tell me details. So here's two ways that I know about it. One is when you're opting into mobile. Let's say you're on your phone and you say, hey, do you want to opt into Native's SMS list? You put in your phone number and it does that dual factor authentication thing where it says, here's this number to authenticate, put it in. You can hit one. You don't have to go to your messages in order to authenticate. You just authenticate right there on your inside Native's app.
Onsite opt-in.
Yeah, I'm sorry, onsite opt-in. Yeah, inside Native's website. So that's different. Nobody else has that. Klaviyo definitely doesn't have that. I don't think Attentive has that either.
It's magic.
Yeah.
If you haven't tried it yet, go to True Classic's website on mobile. Try it out.
Yeah, it is magic. So that's one way. And I want to hear, you must have tested that, and I would love to hear the difference in opt-in rates as a result of that. The other is the Postscript sales side of things, which is you guys have basically an active team of people who are salespeople for brands, and texting with people and having real conversations to encourage them to buy True Classic joggers when the guys, So those are two differentiations that I'm well aware of. What are the other ones? No high level stuff. Give me details.
You want the tactics?
Yeah, because people ask me and they're like, "What's the difference?" And if I say you're going to make more money with Postscript, they're going to say, "You don't know what the fuck you're talking about." And I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about at that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to give you all the details. Yeah. So it's a big list.
Okay, great.
Okay. The first bucket is we're going to help you grow your list faster. We're going to do that through a couple of ways specifically. The first is onsite opt-in. This is better for brands for a whole bunch of ways. We've tested a bunch. We're super excited about it. We're also there's more innovation there coming. But most of the time, the vast majority of the time, it wins the A/B test to drive more opt-ins versus the double touch paradigm.
Yeah.
It also keeps people on site.
Yeah.
The other mobile opt-in paradigm takes people to their messages app and leaves them there.
Yeah.
That's a big issue.
Yeah.
And then the third reason why it's better is that in that other paradigm where the user ends up in their messages app, they then click a link to go back to the site. That creates a second session for GA, for other analytics tools. So onsite opt-in also cleans up attribution because they've just stayed on site.
Okay, great. So tell me, you guys must have A/B tested this. Tell me one, what is the increase in the percentage of opt-ins for a brand that you can recall off the top of your head? And then if staying on site is better, is there an increase in conversion rate?
Yeah. So the best example, I don't know the percentage on my head. Jones Road Beauty, there's a case study on the site, on the Postscript site. They've launched onsite opt-in. It broke their graph. They had a pacing chart for what they were seeing in terms of subscriber opt-ins. They counted out each quarter what they're expecting to grow, and they launched onsite opt-in. The A/B test, not even the full traffic, broke their graph.
Gotcha.
And then they went full, and it continued to break their graph. That's a great example. And the conversion results, we've seen mixed. Oftentimes it's baseline and there's no difference, and sometimes there's a nice small conversion bump from it.
Okay, gotcha.
But I think in both paradigms, we're excited about onsite opt-in, and it seems to be winning.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so onsite opt-in we've already covered.
Grow your list faster with that. Also, people use Fondue to grow their list faster. They use cashback incentives instead of coupon incentives because they're higher margin. And so they can offer a bigger cashback incentive. They can say 20% back instead of 10% off.
Yes.
They still save more money than the 10% off. It only ends up costing them 4% net. And they pick up way more subscribers that way with the bigger incentive.
Okay. And tell me how that works though. So it's instead of getting a 10% off coupon right now, it's 20% off of your next order, or 20% off of 20% cash back on this order. Correct. So I can use it on the next order.
20% cash back on this order.
Yeah.
The return window passes 30 days later. You get an email as the consumer that says, click here to redeem your cash back. You get to choose as the consumer whether to take it as a gift card for that brand, or actually a digital Visa card, like true cash back. So here's how this works. About 50% of consumers don't redeem. Of those who redeem, it's split between those who take a gift card for your site, which in that case, you got the first purchase at full price, and they're only going to use that credit if they do a second or third purchase later on. Way higher margin. And then if they do the actual cash back, then yes, they're getting the cash back, but it's still 25% of people that have done it, and you've had the full amount of the purchase price for a month for working capital purposes. Yeah. So in general, it's meaningfully higher margin.
Am I required to offer a digital Visa coupon or a coupon to my website, or can I just say it only can be a coupon to my website?
you're required to do both, but you can further incentivize the store credit by saying you get 1.5x the value, 1.7x.
Yeah, okay.
Like True Classic is a huge adopter of this,
Yeah.
and that's what they do. They incentivize the store credit piece.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, that's really interesting. And so basically this is a like the pop-up would say, instead of saying get 10% off right now, it would say something like get 20% cash back on this purchase.
Yep, drive more opt-in.
Is that where it happens? It happens in a pop-up, or does this happen via email campaigns where you're like, it happens via email campaigns?
Great question. The initial adoption for it we're seeing is on pop-ups. I think that's because it's set and forget.
Yeah.
Long term, I think we're going to see cashback offers used as a coupon alternative throughout the customer journey. It's a higher margin incentive.
Yeah.
Right now we're seeing a lot of pop-ups. We're starting to see it on like other automation flows outside of welcome series. We're starting to see it in browse abandonment and things like that. We're also seeing brands start to experiment with campaigns, mix it into their campaign cadence so it's something fresh, and it's way higher margin.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be great for Black Friday, actually, because you can have a huge number and incentivize a lot of purchases when you're slow in January and February. So you can say, get 30% cash back 60 days from now in January and February and try and get some sales that way.
Yep.
Okay, fondue, cash back. That differentiates you guys. What else?
So that's growing your list faster. I would put those two things in there.
Okay.
Then I think there is making more money off the marketing tooling. So let's get into specifics. There is a whole bunch of features that Postscript has that really help drive incremental revenue. For example, view triggered price drop automations. This is really cool. This is, I'm on native site, I'm browsing around, I've spent a lot of time looking at this one SKU, I never buy it. The native team drops the price of that SKU just because I viewed that product in the past. I get a triggered text letting me know, hey, the price just dropped 10%. Go and buy. That is a low volume, high value automation.
Yeah.
It's not going to cost the brand much. That's going to print money.
And Klaviyo and Attentive don't have that?
They have like variations of this, but not the like super specific use case I'm talking about. Another thing we're really proud of is that's again like a marketing feature is SKU level back in stock. Now the other platforms have back in stock. We have SKU level back in stock both to help grow your list, the like form that will capture phone numbers for it, but also the triggered automations. So again, if you're a brand that only sells one product, this is like less relevant to you. But if you're high SKU count or have variants,
sure.
It's really important that the person gets the right variant or the right SKU.
Yeah.
And so that's another example of like a low volume, very cheap,
very high intent,
high value message. Those are some. Another form of differentiation in the core SMS product is conversational messaging. So this is a thing where our flow builder isn't a like sending out flow builder. It's a two-way thing because that's how messaging works. Messaging is two-way. And so how this shows up is people can create automation flows that are conversational and two-way and have predefined replies that can come back that can route people further on the journey. So if I'm shopping on True Classic and maybe in their welcome series, they want to capture zero-party data from me, right? So that they can tag my profile, they can send me more relevant stuff. So maybe they ask me a question in the welcome flow around like, are you shopping for like t-shirts or pants or vests? Like, what are you here for today? And I say, I'm thinking about some vests.
Yeah.
Right? That is not like a static reply. That's a human reply.
Yep.
Our flow builder is built out to handle fuzzy human replies, still recognize what they send and route me on the right journey and tag my subscriber profile with what I'm looking for so they can segment and target based on that in the future. That's like pretty advanced conversational routing.
Yeah, that is.
And that is not, it's not dependent on someone replying pants.
Yeah,
or like,
that's right.
hey, it's like human replies. And that, it's pretty advanced stuff, but there's a lot of value there in zero-party data collection, in sending targeted flows.
Yeah.
And so these are examples of like marketing features that will make people more money.
Do a lot of people use that conversational part? So I get the True Classic example where someone says, I think I'm interested in pants.
Yeah.
Do a lot of brands use that? I haven't seen any brands use that.
More and more.
Okay.
More and more it's happening. The market is actively maturing right now, and people are pushing us and the industry in really healthy ways to get more efficient with their spend. And so they want to be sending more targeted, higher value messages. And like that's pushing us in this direction.
Let me ask one other question, which is, I don't understand what 160 characters always is. Yeah. And I feel like it might be different across you and other competitors. Is that the case or not? Or is 160 characters the same for everyone? Like, so let me give you one example. Let's say you're sending out a text that's going to say, hey Moiz, deodorant's on sale for 10% off right now. And that, like, you know, you put in everything, including the short code, and that gets to about 157 characters, right? You're like, great, one text. But that's if your name is 4 letters long or 4 letters long, right? If your name is Alexander or Alexandria, now that name is like 12 letters long. Have I crossed the 160 character threshold? Okay,
you have, and you will be charged a second message and it'll show up. It won't show up for the user because the phone will recombine the two texts. How we cater to this, specifically the first name thing, is the placeholder we put in for first names is like more than 4 characters. It's like, I think it's, first underscore name. So like 10 characters.
Okay, gotcha. Which is most names.
Most names. And also most people probably wrap to like 157 characters. So there's enough space.
Okay, gotcha. I was always curious as to how that kind of stuff works.
The insular details.
Does everyone charge the same for a text message? Not from a price perspective, but like, are text messages equal across all the platforms?
So this is a great question. So I listed 2 categories that were different. Faster list growth, more money from marketing. There's 2 others. One of them is billing and pricing. So one of them is this question. And there's some small differences between the platforms. Some of them are more meaningful than others. Klaviyo uses like a credit-based system where you like sign up for a tier and there's a certain amount of credits. So, you know, there may or may not be like breakage or usage or things like that. On Postscript side, we bill you at the end of the month for whatever you've used. It's not like tier credit-based. It's like,
that's great.
Here is your SMS rate. Here is how many SMS you sent. This is what you paid us.
That's great, because during Black Friday, I'm always like, if you use Klaviyo, you better downgrade your account after Black Friday.
Don't have to think about that with Postscript.
Okay, great.
Super simple. There's also some differences in what we charge for across all the platforms. So Postscript doesn't charge for inbound messages because, you know, people send in messages. Postscript also doesn't charge for undelivered messages.
Okay.
Right? Messages fail all the time. You're on a plane when we sent you a text, or your phone's been taken out of service, or you didn't have service at the time, etc. Undelivered messages can be, you know, a couple percentage points of an overall sending strategy. And so, you know, this is one core difference between us and Attentive is charging for undelivereds and charging for inbound messages. Also, the difference between us and Klaviyo is charging for undelivered messages. They do and we don't. There's another difference. And I don't have like all the details of this because their platform's private, but I keep hearing about this from brands. So I can't vouch for it 100% of the time, but I know it's common, where we bill for MMS messages very differently than Attentive does. An MMS message, when we go pay, you know, Verizon to deliver an MMS message, it's a standard amount of text. It's like you can add emojis in. Emojis don't take as much space. You have 1,600 characters.
1,600
characters.
Okay.
And how Attentive bills is they bill for the MMS message. And then once you start using up, if you put emojis in there, which people often do in MMS, and you use up more than the like standard 160 characters, they bill you for additional SMS after that.
Okay, gotcha.
So
you basically can have 10x the text on yours versus theirs.
Yeah. And so what that turns out to is if a brand is sending tons of like long MMS messages, they'll spend substantially less on Postscript than they would on Attentive. I have one more difference category.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Tell me. Okay. Go ahead.
This one actually does matter. Strategy and support. The only thing we do is SMS for Shopify. It's what the entire team's focused on. It's the only thing they get trained on. They aren't getting trained on email, other platforms, other use cases, anything like that. We have things like a 2-minute chat support SLA during business hours, right? People complain about getting stuck in the queue of companies all the time. Brands come to us for billing, for pricing, for features. They often say to us, we're going to stay for the support because we haven't worked with a team like this. We don't get analytics or insights like this. It's like Jones Road Beauty. Cody was pushing us on deeply understanding the incrementality of his SMS spend. If you went to any of the other platforms, they wouldn't even know where to start. No one would even know where to begin. We had like a packaged program with our data science team to run him through to help him deeply understand how much sending is incremental. And so that stuff adds up and it does matter.
Is that available to everyone? Like I would imagine, you know, like
it's not in-app. It's like a high-touch customer success offering.
Okay. And then when do I get a customer success team assigned to my account?
You get a CSM team if you come through our sale process and you work with a human. You can self-serve into Postscript, but once you work with a human is when you'd get set up with a...
And there's no extra charge for that?
No, but there is an extra charge, but generally how it works is people are not self-serving and they're speaking to a human when they reach a certain size.
Yeah.
And so the economics work for us if they're spending a certain amount.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I feel like you started that because you knew where I was going to come, which is like, I'm like, I don't know if that's value or not value, but you're like, this is valuable.
It's real value.
That? Okay, gotcha. But I respect the fondue thing. That seems really interesting. What was the thing called where the authentication is right in app?
Onsite opt-in?
Onsite opt-in.
Yes.
Yeah, that seems like there's a ton of value right there, actually.
Tons.
Want to do SMS the right way? You have to go with Postscript. If you care about maximizing the amount of revenue you generate on SMS, and that is your North Star metric, you've got to pick Postscript. They're dedicated to this channel, and if you want to be as good at SMS as possible for your brand, they're really the only option. Over 13,000 Shopify merchants swear by Postscript. Graza, True Classic, Feastables, Brooklinen, Ruggable, Jones Road Beauty, My Old Brand, Native, the list goes on and on. Learn more at postscript.io/limited. You know, one of the things that I think you guys do really poorly is explain those differences, particularly on your website, because as I was preparing for this, and you know, I think I've had this conversation with you like 4 times, which is I'm like, how the fuck are you guys different? I still don't understand because people will ask me. So I was like, okay, let me do this myself and I'm gonna look at your website and figure this out. And I was still like, I don't get it. And I don't think it's me. I think it's you.
Folks, this is a high value investor who will speak up and call you on your shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
let's do it. I'm open to feedback.
Yeah. Here's the thing that blows my mind that you don't have on your website, which on Amazon, like if you're selling a product on Amazon, your bottom module on Amazon is here's my product, here are the competitors, and here's a chart based on what I do and what they don't do. You know, if I watch an infomercial, they have that. They're like, here's what we do and here's what the other guys don't do. And sometimes the only thing that will be different is support. And you're like, okay, this isn't even anything, but they'll still have a chart. You guys have on-site opt-in. Other people don't have on-site opt-in. You guys have fondue. Other people don't have fondue. Although I think on-site opt-in is probably worth more. You guys charge less for an MMS as compared to Attentive. You guys won't charge for received messages. Why is that not a chart on your homepage being like, let us tell you the difference? Certainly, like, yes, I think if you're a small player, you're like, okay, whatever, let me just sign up for any of them because I'm only going to send out 500 text messages a month. If you're Jones Road Beauty or True Classic, you're like, you know, you're sophisticated. And you have a salesman, you understand, you're going through a sales process across all 3 brands and you're listening to the sales team and negotiating pricing. And, you know, you'll understand that and build your own chart. But if you're like a small, like an SMB spending, I don't know, $500 or $1,000 a month on SMS, you might not be going through that as same sales process. And you might be like, okay, let me see if I can learn what's different. And on your site, which I've been to, and I'm an investor and I was a user and I understand e-commerce pretty well, I still don't understand all of those things. They're like hidden in case studies and hidden in so many different places.
So one of the challenges is that you have been following this space for like 5 years, right? The differences between us and other platforms, they're like changing every few months, right? It's a competitive space. Gaps are being open, closed. So the like one-liner from a couple of years ago just doesn't apply now. So when we check in once a year, it's like completely radically different.
That's a great answer, but that doesn't like tell me why there isn't something on the chart. I'm sorry, that chart doesn't exist on your website.
So the other thing is we are in a space with some players who are highly litigious. And highly aggressive. And so I think that we do a awesome job storytelling. I think our sales decks, which like you don't have access to, for example, our comparison docs, I actually think are very, very strong. I'm happy to send them to you. Okay. I'm happy to send them. And I think that the scoreboard shows it, right? Like the scoreboard shows that, first of all, if you look at the last year, the sort of brands that are coming to Postscript, I mean, we are like eating the upmarket sector of D2C e-commerce. I mean, True Classic, Cuts, Hexclad, Ruggable, Caraway, Mary Roos, like Jones Road, you know, all of these like great brands they're coming and I think they're pretty happy.
I know Ben at True Classic is happy.
So I think there's the scoreboard there. I also think, you know, how many brands have you invested in that have like seen how many SaaS companies that you've invested in have seen the like growth that we have over the last 5 years? Like the marketing is working.
I'm not saying the marketing isn't working.
You want a clean on-site comparison chart front and center.
You know, it's like when the Warriors won the championship and then they got Kevin Durant like they weren't like, we won the championship. That's okay. We don't need to change the team. They're like, add this guy because now we're going to like have the best record in the NBA.
Yes.
And that's what I feel like you guys are. You're like, okay, we're winning. So we're like not complacent, but like, you know, I think for most people who are looking at SMS, the first thing they think of is they try and put together that chart in their head right away. And I'm not sure why it's not clearly obvious on the site. Like I think not just for me, like, you know, for anyone evaluating the businesses, and upmarket is great, but upmarket is because you have amazing sales teams or like a great sales team, and you can, you know, communicate the differentiation that you have versus your competitors in that sales process.
Sure.
But for smaller businesses, it's tougher.
Sure. I think it's tougher to discern.
Has there been go ahead.
The like value props that different size companies grasp onto are quite different.
Yeah.
But you know what? I hear the feedback.
Yeah. Like, you know, look, if you don't charge for responses, that's clearly value add there, or like that's going to be cheaper. If you allow MMSs at 1,600 characters and somebody else doesn't, that's clearly going to be better. And I can understand saying, hey, we're going to do a case study for onsite opt-in, but you can be like, you know, here's a GIF of what our process looks like. Here's a GIF of what somebody else's process looks like. You know, it's way easier. Like everyone understands the value prop.
Sure.
You know, like every year somebody will tweet out and say the best thing Apple has invented is that thing where, you know, you have the authorization code right there. Yeah, exactly. Once a year, that'll go viral on Twitter. You guys have that for SMS.
Yes.
And you know, I feel like the sales process must be working. Just seems like you might as well add Kevin Durant because he's not charging anything, and you know, it's software.
I would love to add Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
We'll see what we can do.
Okay, gotcha. Has there been a clear focus on shifting towards enterprise brands now? Like you know, all the brands you just mentioned are $100 million plus brands or $50 million plus brands. Certainly, has there been a shift towards that?
I think there has, because we feel like what we're set up to do, which is to be like the best in class for this one channel, is most valued and is the best fit and creates the most value up there. We often get asked, like, why shouldn't I just use a tool that has everything in one, right? That has email and SMS combined. Get asked that all the time.
Yeah.
And there's a couple different things that people grasp onto there. They grasp onto the idea of like ease of clicking around, not being in two tools, and they grasp onto like attribution that's all in one place. Those are the two main thrusts of it. And look, if all a brand wants to do is turn on an abandoned cart flow and never think about SMS again, you probably like should go use an all-in-one tool. That's like a good fit. But if you're actually trying to like make the most money that you can from the channel most efficiently, you're going to want to work with a team and a product that's like deeply focused on it, that's innovating across these different tools, that's like pushing the envelope. And so what we want to do as a business, and where we think the biggest revenue opportunity is for us, are aligned, which is like be the best in class vendor. And upmarket really values that.
Yeah, upmarket is, you know, those guys are, all the brands that you just mentioned love money.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are more text messages sent out with Postscript, via flows or via campaigns?
Campaigns.
By far?
By far.
Okay.
The exception is a cool thing. Here's another product difference. A cool thing that we innovated like a year and a half ago is we created a thing called a campaign flow, which is the combination of the two. It's a flow is something that like one user enters and then goes through the journey, but this is setting up a series of campaigns. So it's like dropping a whole bunch of users into a flow, if you will. But in general, campaigns see much higher volume.
How often are brands sending out text messages? Is there a campaign? Is that like something you guys look at, or is that so different for everybody?
We look at it obsessively. It's so different for everyone. We're seeing it. The best practice today is in reflection of the marketing calendar and the merchandising strategy of that brand. People have a good reason to send a text out every day. They're doing that. Fashion brands and apparel brands can send a much higher volume of messages than like home goods. Right. Just because, you know, we get an email from like Gap every day and it's totally normal. There's just so much selection. And I think it's the same for campaign strategy.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's the same thing with email. Like, you know, at Native, we always struggled with reasons to send out emails. We're like, we got to like come up, we have to be clever about a reason to like, you know, market to you. And when I see True Classics sending out text messages where they're like, you know, 10% off navy blue joggers only. I'm like, wow, you guys you can do this all day.
You can do it all day and they see the return from it.
Yeah. Okay.
Most brands today are undersending.
Most brands today are undersending.
They're undersending because there's been a huge shift in the ecosystem towards efficiency and cost cutting, which I think is good and healthy, but it's led to a bit of an overcorrection in SMS in particular, where when we do these incrementality studies on a one-off basis with brands, the group where normally it's like there's a control group not getting any text, there's one getting the prior cadence, and then there's like a super sending group, and that group by far and away drives the most return. So most brands are undersending.
And are most brands segmenting text messages so that they're like, when you launch a campaign, is it one text to everybody, or are most brands segmenting those campaigns?
Most brands are segmenting.
Wow. Okay. Gotcha. Is your largest customer spending more than 6 figures a year with you?
Yes.
Wow. Is anyone spending 7 figures?
Yes.
On texts?
Yes.
Wow.
There's people with big lists who invest in list growth who send a lot of texts. And the other thing is that lists are still really small. Right? Like compared to email, SMS lists are still really small just because people have been not only defaulting to email collection, but also gathering email for so many more years. So lists are going to continue to grow.
Is there a best practice when you're like what is it, when I think about emails, I'm like, okay, the bounce rate should be this, the unsubscribe rate should be this. The hard part is, what are the best practices when it comes to that?
So the best practice is to look at it through a thing called subscriber LTV. Is something, all the benchmarks by product category are live for this on our site. So you can go and look at like apparel versus home goods versus all the different stuff. Subscriber LTV is what is the value of an SMS phone number to you, right?
Yeah.
Pretty simple. And we surface this data about each brand in the dashboard and the underlying metrics. This is the important and the actionable part. There's a few things that flow into what the value of an SMS subscriber is. One is the revenue per message that you're seeing.
Sure.
Right? And we have benchmarks for this, and there's a whole bunch of ways to optimize it, right? You can send less, you can target more, you can increase all the stuff. There is messages per subscriber on a monthly basis, right? Revenue per message and messages per subscriber, how much people are receiving. We see this vary across brands. Some people are sending as little as like 2 messages per month to each subscriber, and some are sending like 25.
Yeah.
And then there is what we focus on isn't unsubscribe rate, but it's a subset. It's D30 unsubscribe rate, which is how many people unsubscribe in the first 30 days on the list. And the reason we focus on optimizing for that is because people are 5 times more likely to unsubscribe in the first month than they are thereafter. And so having a great first month journey and experience will keep them on the list longer.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
5 times more likely in the first 30 days.
That's an example of an insight that an all-in-one platform is never going to be able to work with you.
Yeah. You guys should talk about that more. Like that's great information for people to know, because I think I would also be probably a little bit slower in the first 30 days so people get used to my text messages and then be like, okay, now I can probably do once every week as opposed to once every 2 weeks.
And if brands do things like start a little slow, tell people what they're going to experience on the channel, like set expectations, show them value, maybe have a little bit of automated back and forth so they're more engaged, unsubscribe rates go down.
Okay. All right, let's talk. I want to talk about 2 more things. One is Postscript sales. And then the other is SaaS marketing.
Cool.
So let's talk about Postscript sales first. You guys launched this product about a year ago. And basically what happens is if you're buying a Ridge wallet or let's go with a True Classic joggers, you can text and say, hey, I'm not sure what size works for me. And they'll be like, well, tell me what size you are in Levi jeans. And then we're going to find a size for you. And they're actually texting with real human beings and not an AI bot.
Yes. Incentivize trained salespeople in Phoenix, Arizona at the e-commerce sales center.
How many people work at that Phoenix, Arizona facility?
I don't know the latest number.
Okay.
Roughly 70-ish.
Okay. And they're salespeople for True Classic, but they're not True Classic employees. Correct. They're Postscript employees.
Correct.
But they've been trained to sell True Classic products.
Correct. They've been trained on brand voice extensively. There's brand voice audits. We bring a whole bunch of the product to the office so they can make creative and take pictures and experience the products live.
How many brands are doing this?
It's still in a closed beta. We're also focused on brands need to have a certain amount of annual revenue. Otherwise, the unit economics of this don't make it worthwhile for anyone.
What's the annual revenue on that?
Generally, we're targeting folks that have an annual revenue of over $7 million a year.
Okay.
There's some exceptions to that, especially if it's a very high-priced item.
Yeah.
But generally, that's what we're focused on today. That'll expand over time.
Sure.
And there's about 40 or 50 brands using it today.
And so the brand is basically pays you a commission when that sale happens.
Correct.
And then you pay a commission to the sales agent so that the sales agent's also incentivized to get the sale to
Correct.
happen. Who pays for all the cost of the text messages back and forth?
The brand does.
The brand does. Okay, gotcha.
But it's actually a drop in the bucket compared to like their campaign strategy.
Yeah. Because there's not going to be that many people having conversational text.
It's like a single percentage point, or it's a single digit percentage point increase in their SMS volume.
Okay. Let me ask you a company question then. Postscript has always been not a weird SaaS business, but a SaaS business that has
SaaS. It's been weird SaaS.
Like a SaaS business that has legitimate costs.
Yes.
When I think about, a company that sends out email or Triple Whale or something to that effect, I don't think about any costs that they have. No. They've got data storage, but really no costs. When there's a text message being sent, there's a genuine cost to it. It's not free for anybody, including you.
Yeah. I think we're more in the profile of Shopify, right? It's not like 90% margin SaaS. It's a little bit lower margin. Shopify has like payment hard costs on their payments line, which is the majority of their revenue. We're like closer to that margin profile.
What do you mean by that? You're closer to a margin profile of like a SaaS business that actually has costs, is what you mean by that. Okay. And how do you work I guess when you're going out to raise money then, should you get traditional SaaS valuations or should there be a discount?
It depends on all the other factors at play.
Yeah.
Right. So the biggest thing is that we've like radically improved our margins over the last couple of years, like radically. And now we're like close to standard SaaS margins, which is great. But it's all the other factors at play. It's like, how much are you growing? Are you profitable? How much are you burning? How efficiently are you growing? Like all the other factors that go into how valuation's calculated.
Yeah. But look, the reason I ask that is because now with Postscript sales, I would imagine that it's even less SaaS-like. Now I look at the business and maybe the margins look SaaS-like. And, I say this and I'm like, look, I really hope you get SaaS. But, I got a bunch of money at stake too. I really hope you get it. Certainly you do as well. I guess you haven't fundraised for a little bit, but if you were to fundraise today, would people be like, is this a SaaS business? Because okay, so a text messaging has costs,
yes,
but is infinitely scalable.
Sure.
Sales has costs and is harder to be infinitely scalable because now there's human beings involved.
Yes.
And those human beings are in America and, and it's great. Like, I think one of the benefits that are one of the real competitive advantages that direct-to-consumer businesses have is excellent customer service, which is in the United, when you call up American Airlines and you hear that like accent, and including me in that accent is usually somebody who sounds like me. I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm going to have to talk to this guy forever. He doesn't even know how to spell the word Ali. And I'm like, you must know 5,000 Alis around you and you still don't know how to spell the word Ali. Your costs are going to be higher than that because you're hiring in Phoenix and these people are more, these people are going to be more expensive. Yeah, that's right. And so how do you think about that? Or you don't think about that? You're like, let's do the best product.
So the exciting thing I would tell you as an investor is that it is not negatively impacting our margins.
Okay.
The other thing I would say is if we were fundraising today, right, or just to you, the actual like scale of revenue compared to our core SMS marketing business is like quite small, that we expect that to rapidly grow.
Yeah.
However, what we also expect to rapidly grow is over time, our ability to automate a lot of these exchanges. So one way to look at it as we're like building out an operationally complex, more manual part of our business. We like doing stuff like that because it's incredibly hard to replicate. It's very modey and it's creating value for brands. We'll do stuff like that all day. Like
very modey is my new favorite term.
It's very modey. And like the Postscript management team DNA and the Postscript company team DNA is like, if it's value creating for brands,
do it.
Don't care if it's hard.
Yeah.
Like, let's do it. But the other thing is, if you think about the like huge innovation and trends happening in AI, like, will we slowly be able to both lower the costs for brands and improve the margin profile of that business through like slowly and smartly automating the low value exchanges that happen? Because there's a lot of low value exchanges. It's not all like someone waltzing in ready to buy joggers. Yes, I think very confidently, yes. And so the other way to look at it is we're making an investment in a totally unique set of trained data that no one else is going to have, aimed at selling conversations for e-commerce. That's really valuable. And like, that's really valuable in the AI world. So we're playing a long game there. It's not hurting us in the short term, and it's potentially incredibly valuable in the long term. You can't take this concept and plug in ChatGPT and like expect it to do selling conversations. It won't work.
And so you're plugging it in certain spots, but not all over for low value. Like,
and we have,
how fast will this get?
And we have hundreds of thousands of trained conversations. of trained selling conversations. That makes the models that we're deploying for AI good and relevant, not like weird chatbot.
Yeah. Has that lift started to happen already? Have you already started to deploy AI into Postscript sales?
No comment.
No comment. Okay. I remember the first time you told me about this, I was like, and I remember, and I still am not sure how I feel, but although I've heard great things actually. So I feel a little less But, I was like, okay, I can see how this makes sense for $1,000 mattress or, a $10,000 diamond ring from Blue Nile.
Right.
But I think one of the first examples you gave me was like silicone rings or something like that. And you're like, this brand's AOV is like $15 and it's working, or $25 and it's working. Is there a sweet spot there, or is there not? Where's the sweet spot?
There is a sweet spot. In the long term, once it's like automated and much cheaper, I think it'll work for anyone. Yeah. But there is a sweet spot today. So like medium to high AOV brands really see the like highest incremental lift.
What does medium to high mean here?
So True Classic has done well with this.
Yeah.
Right? They aren't like, I think their AOV is like, Ben would know. I mean, you guys have on rough around $100,
Yeah.
right? Nothing crazy. Caraway, they're pots and pans. They've seen an incredible amount of success with this. They're really excited about it. That's even higher AOV.
Yeah.
Like high consideration, high AOV goods, having a conversation, just like when we walk into a store to objection handle, to help educate, that's high value. However, also lower AOV brands who either have a really engaged community or a strong brand voice, they're also seeing good results. So yes, $15 totally transactional dropshipper, this isn't like worth it. The economics won't work for anyone, but Dr. Squatch has been an early adopter. They're not super high AOV, right?
Yeah.
They're soap.
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
They've seen consistently great results. And if you Google Dr. Squatch Chad Reddit, you will see this huge sub community on Reddit filled with people who've had conversations with Chad, which is the persona that Dr. Squatch uses. And they're like raving about it. And it's because they have this like funky brand. They let the team like sell and be weird. And so they still see really good results, even though it's lower AOV.
Let's use Dr. Squatch as an example.
Sure.
What percentage of sales will have been touched by somebody who has a conversation with somebody through Postscript for Dr. Squatch? Is it less or more than 2%?
More.
More than 2% of people?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot more than I would have guessed.
Yeah. The results vary a bit brand to brand. It's so early. We're figuring out a lot still. But our North Star is we want it to eventually double a brand's SMS revenue.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what we're shooting for.
Okay. Let's shift to marketing for SaaS businesses.
Let's do it.
I remember you guys were tiny when I invested 5 years or however long it was, and have grown so much. Team of 300 people, offices in Phoenix, Tel Aviv, and elsewhere across the country. What worked for you? How did you grow from product market fit, or were there certain sales techniques that you guys had that you found successful? And the reason I ask is a lot of SaaS brands will reach out to me and be like, "How do SaaS brands grow?" And I'm like, "I have no idea," but you will.
It is not as scalable to grow in SaaS.
Yeah,
it's so much more. At least in like B2B at a healthy AOV, like we aren't a company that's scaling through self-serve customers that pay us $15 a month.
Yeah.
Like we have a lot of them. We love them, but like we're scaling through like an enterprise sales motion, and you need an AOV that supports that. We've grown through grinding for years.
Yeah.
Like it started off really deeply engaging in the e-commerce community. That was good for us early on.
Yeah.
That came about through showing up at events, through working agency partnerships, all kinds of stuff like that. Participating in social, online, like community and word of mouth, really strong product market fit was like the bedrock upon which we grew. And then over time, we layered in more traditional motions. Like now we have a large BDR organization. They do excellent work. They help us like set meetings with potential customers.
Do you find you get meetings with enterprise businesses by sponsoring, I don't know, Shop Talk or GrowComp? Like, I don't know what you guys really sponsor, but like, do you guys find that has value? Like, do you get enterprise meetings as a result of that?
So we do, but it is not off the shelf. Like we have a hardcore and like sophisticated approach to events. We work events. I was at Grow LA last week.
Yeah.
Right? Had a good time. Did really well for us there.
Yeah.
But you cannot buy a booth somewhere and hang out and expect to like come home having made it at all. You need a aggressive pre-event and post-event strategy trying to like set pre-meetings with people to connect there. You need target lists. You need to have a team that shows up that knows how to work events, which is not hanging at your booth. It's like a very, very outgoing approach. You need to be hosting events, dinners, and things around the event. And here's the other secret. You need a price point and unit economics that make that worthwhile. Someone, Zach from Homestead, just tweeted out his like non-acquisition software spend, and Postscript and Shopify were like the most expensive things on there.
Yeah, I saw.
And because SMS is expensive, we can charge a lot more than than a SaaS vendor that's charging $250 a month.
Yeah.
I would say they're going to really struggle scaling through events. The unit economics like aren't going to back out for them.
Did you guys do anything unique early on in order to get clients, or was it just sort of like product market fit? You guys were pioneers in the category, and so that might have done it itself.
Product market fit, aggressive customer support, aggressive community engagement. I did this thing where I tweeted out this thread our second Black Friday, because our first we were nobodies, where a couple weeks before I offered to run a brand's like SMS myself for like the holiday season. So it was community engagement. It was like talking to agencies, being on social media, going to events, and like also having an incredibly fast chat support SLA that was going to me or Adam or Colin. We were iterating the product off that, and people knew that when they would work with us, we would like help them, they would get set up. That sort of approach not only helped us refine the product, but it also led to word of mouth.
That's fantastic.
It's like all unsexy.
Yeah.
Like, yes, were we running some paid ads? Of course. But like, that isn't where our growth has come from.
Yeah.
It's like much more of just driving positive customer sentiment and word of mouth and being super engaged.
Yeah. I love that you volunteered to be like, let me run your SMS strategy for Black Friday. That's amazing. Yeah. That's really cool.
We should, for this coming Black Friday, Cyber Monday, we should run that back.
I'd love to do that.
I'd do it. We should figure out a way to distribute it for limited supply audience.
Okay. Yeah. That'd be fantastic. Let's do that. Okay. We've got to wrap up. If people want to follow you on Twitter, you're active on Twitter. How should they do that?
I'm at Ring My Beller on Twitter, or they can reach out to me, alex@postscript.io. I'm always available.
All right. Fantastic. Thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next time to cut through the noise in CPG, retail, and e-commerce.
And if you enjoyed this episode, then why not share it with a friend? And be sure to subscribe wherever you listen so you don't miss the next one.